Okay, everybody. Well, welcome to tonight's edition of the Mathewson-Plank Virtual Hot Stove. And tonight we're going to be talking about the upcoming 2025 season. Some of us have sent in predictions of how we think the season's going to turn out for not just all the divisions, but who's going to wind up being the World Series champion. And this was a brainchild of Scott. And Scott, why don't you take things over because this is your child.
All right, let me see if I can share my screen. All right. All right, can everybody see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So, this is going to be very interactive. I put together a couple different slides on by each division, and then we'll get to the end where we can look at the division champions and the World Series champions. What I did was, as I go through the, let's see here. It's not forwarding here. You guys see slide 2?
No.
Okay. Something's not right.
There it is.
About there it is. Okay. So we're gonna break down by division. We can talk through what our chapter rankings were, and I have it compared against the Pacoda rankings. So Pacoda, if everybody doesn't know what those rankings are, it's a sabermetric system that really looks at players and compares those players and tries to project a win total by team. I think though these rankings came out pre some injuries, so like Garrett Cole's injury, I think the Yankees were probably projected before that injury, so those numbers probably would have changed a little bit. But it's pretty neat to see those numbers against what our chapter's predictions were, and we'll go down through that. We had 5 responses from the chapter, which doesn't seem like a lot, but almost everybody ranked by division, so we can kind of look at those divisions as we go through it. We'll start with the National League West because I think this was the easiest division. The number of points that is calculated, 21 would be your max. So as you can see there, the Dodgers got a max of 21 points. Not shocking by any means. Pacoda has them ranked for 101 wins for this season. I think that's probably a little low, but I think it's pretty good. You can see how our rankings pretty much matched up with Pacoda's as far as our ranking 1 through 5 against their rankings 1 through 5. One thing that we all had in common was the last place finisher as well. The Rockies. 4 would be your minimum number of points that you could get, and the Rockies got that. I think there was another team as well that got that 4 number. They projected with 56 wins. Um, any comments on this ranking system? For me, I think the Padres and Diamondbacks. I think those 2 teams were back and forth on some of the rankings that came through. Some folks had the Padres above the Diamondbacks. Um, I also saw it. Was it John Montgomery today? Looks like he's getting Tommy John for the Diamondbacks.
Yep.
So they're going to be down a starter. I'm not sure how much they were counting on him anyway, but
That's what I was just gonna say.
yeah. So any comments? Anybody wants to talk about the National League West?
No, like you said, I think that's just about the easiest one to call.
Yeah, we'll see about Mookie Betts, like you guys were talking about before, at his illness. And when he gets back on the field, losing 18 pounds, it's going to take him a little while, I think, to get back into shape. I think I just heard that he just stopped having stomach issues like this the other day. So it's almost 2 weeks long of stomach issues. That's pretty severe. All right, let's go to the American League West. Our rankings, we had the Astros finishing first, just barely over the Texas Rangers, followed by the Seattle Mariners, the Athletics, and then the Angels finishing last. Dakota actually has the Rangers finishing first, almost 91 wins, followed by the Astros, the Mariners, and then we had the Athletics and the Angels flip-flop compared to the Dakota rankings.
Yeah, I picked Houston for first, but I think the Rangers are my sleeper. I think they might just sneak in there.
I think what's interesting with the Rangers is, they obviously were not good last year, but Bochy has this thing about every other year, and I think that's what a lot of people are counting on, I would guess.
I think it would be interesting watching Jose Altuve in the outfield, just from spring training. He struggled a bit out there, but it looks like they're going forward that plan and leaving him out there. We'll see how that works out throughout the year. I think the Athletics are an interesting team, especially obviously at the ballpark in Sacramento. I
Yeah, I'm
think
not
they're
sure
not,
they have the pitching staff that some of the other teams do, but it really seems like they have some good young players that are really starting to generate some interest.
yeah. I also saw the Angels today. A guy made the ball club, and he will not play any minor league baseball games. I don't know if you saw that, which is interesting.
What was
Well,
that? How did he make it? You're
Uh,
sa- you're you're saying he's not
He's
going to
never
play?
played in a minor league game, from what I could tell,
hmm.
and
He
he made the
hasn't played at
roster.
all.
No,
Is he the one that replaced Mickey Moniak? Because he was cut
yeah, I
today.
saw Mickey Moniak got cut today. Yeah,
What's
that's a
interesting, because
Philly.
when we were in Arizona, we saw the Angels twice, and they seem like they have signed every guy past his prime who, I mean, one guy who may bounce back is Tim Anderson. But it looks like they're just sort of going for names, to draw some fans or whatever. But it's all these guys kind of a couple of years past their prime, it seems like.
Well, I think they had the worst ranking as far as farm teams of all the major league teams as well. So yeah, it doesn't bode well for them.
What's everybody thinking about the new surroundings for the Athletics? Do you think that's going to be a plus for them?
Well, for their hitters, it probably will be. From what I understand, there's a lot less space in foul territory for the new stadium than there was in Oakland.
I was talking to Scott previously, and I was kind of surprised. I was looking at where they're going to be playing, and also where Tampa Bay is going to be playing over there in Steinbrenner Field. And I thought, well, maybe smaller field, but I mean, down the line, the dimensions of the parks are almost identical as far as like down the lines. They're like within 5 or 10 feet of each other, or where they've previously played. So, but like you said, maybe the foul territory will come into play.
I think the thing that I've heard about Sacramento is, and you can just see the major leaguers are going to bitch about it. It's not a connected sort of clubhouse to the dugout, so they literally, I think, have to walk through a concourse or whatever. And it's just going to be different. It's going to be like maybe when they were in single A or whatever, in the low minors. So I think it'll be an advantage for them. And they seem to be trending, I think, in the right direction.
And if they get 7 or 8 thousand, it almost looks like a full house to them. So, I mean,
It's
that'll,
better than Oakland, right?
yeah, exactly.
I didn't see. I don't know. Our local guys playing for the Athletics, Nick Kurtz. I don't know if he made the roster or not. I think they probably sent him down, but he'll definitely be up sometime this year. He's a highly touted prospect. He's from the Lancaster area here.
Hey, well, explain how you were talking earlier. How I think his parents live down the street from you.
Yeah, he actually lives right down the road from me the night of the MLB draft. There's all kinds of news trucks out parked out front, and they had a draft party at his house. I was invited. I know his dad a little bit, but not that well. But
Well,
yeah, it's good to see that for a
we
local
were hoping
team.
to maybe get him on a call, being he was a local guy. And then we saw a news article where the A's put the clamp on him talking to anybody. So that
Hmm.
explained why we weren't able to get him, right, Scott?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't do anything. They just ignored my messages. So, all right, NL Central, Milwaukee Brewers. We had them projected first, followed by the Reds, and the Cubs tied at second. Then the Cardinals and Pirates. Dakota has the Cubs actually projected first with 91 wins. The Brewers second, Cardinals third, Pirates fourth, and the Reds fifth. This one really, really surprises me at the Reds. 75 wins. I'd like to hear what your guys think of this. I just feel like the Reds are a better team than that.
Well, Dixie has had experience with Francona up there in Boston. And I like Francona as a manager. And I'm not going to say he's going to turn this team around this year, but I'll say they're going to be up there within the next 3 years. I think they're going to be a contender in that division.
I kind of agree that they're going to be. They could challenge the Brewers from my standpoint. I think they've got one of the most exciting players in the majors in De La Cruz, and their pitching staff isn't too bad. They've had some success with some of those arms.
The only thing that I would add, and I do apologize, I didn't get my things in with us traveling and stuff like that, but I don't see the Cubs as first. And I can say as a Cubs fan, they seem, like I said before we got on the call, they've been sleepwalking. They sort of were sleepwalking in Japan, and they've been sleepwalking since they got back. I don't see it with the Cubs. I think they've got an interesting team. I think their pitching, especially their starters, are real light. And if Imanaga has any, regression at all this year, I think they're going to have a tough time with their pitching staff. I just don't see 90 wins with them as much as I'd like. And I think they're undervaluing Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati, I expect, would be better than 74. And I think that's going to be a real tight division. But I don't see the Cubs winning 90 or more, and I don't see Cincinnati that bad, in my opinion, at least.
I wish Karen was on and she could talk about our Pittsburgh Pirates and where she projected this for them to finish. But
Well, it'll be
that's
interesting to see what happens to Skeens. What kind of year he's going to have. I'm just hoping that he doesn't follow suit of like a Strasburg or something like that, where the way he's been throwing, he's going to develop arm trouble and be a flash in the pan.
it
I
looks
hope
like
I'm wrong, but
they may have already
yeah,
lost to Jared Jones. Looks like he might
It
be.
sounds like he's hurting big time. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're going to be. I was kind of bullish on their pitching staff going into spring training, but without him backing up Skeens, it's not going to be. It's going to be lack of depth, just like it's always been.
Yeah, and offensively, they have not added
Nothing.
much.
They added Horowitz, and even he's starting the season on the IL.
I think McCutcheon might be back, right? Is he back for another
He's
year?
back. He is back, but he's not a position player anymore. He's just a DH.
Just DH, yeah.
So they really don't have it. They're right now. Their power hitter is Bart, the catcher, Joey Bart, and it's tough when you have to put four singles together to score.
Where's O'Neill Cruz?
He's in center field, and he's got to cut down the strikeouts. But beyond that, he's a great talent. But he's got to cut way down on his swing and misses.
How's his fielding been in the outfield? I haven't seen
Marginal.
A whole lot.
It's been marginal. He's inexperienced out there.
Yeah.
He's not what you'd look for out of a center fielder. He's got great speed, great range, but he doesn't have the instincts for it yet.
A lot of talent, though, that's for sure.
There is. I mean, when he was coming up, it was between him and De La Cruz, but obviously he lost the 1 year to an injury, and then the position changed. So, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough year for them again.
All right, let's look at the American League Central. We had the Guardians, Tigers, Royals, Twins, White Sox. Sorry, RJ, I think you're gonna be in the basement on this one.
No doubt. No disagreement here.
Now, the Dakota actually has the Twins winning the division at 85 wins. We had them projected in 4th place, so big difference there. Kansas City at 2nd and Guardians in 3rd.
See, I would have
Thoughts
picked
on
Kansas
this?
City first, really.
What has Chicago done this whole season, RJ? You see, I know you say you don't argue with what they're predicting, but I mean, have they done anything to mention?
I haven't actually been following it closely, but gosh, what was the fella's name? They had a fella projected to hit 4th, who they just outright released.
Hmm.
So I gather that the difference between top and bottom there is shallow. I'm guessing it's a shallow pool if something like that's going to happen. So
Well, 62 wins would be an improvement. If
yeah,
they can
they could improve by 20 wins and still lose 100 games. You don't see that every day.
Yeah, Minnesota's an interesting team. I mean, obviously they're up for sale. I think I heard today that they have what was it, 500,000? Oh, they got a huge debt. And they're up for sale for like 1.1 billion, I think. But they had like 500,000 in debt.
Hmm.
So we'll see if anybody is going after the Twins, but it's a shame 'cause that's a great ballpark. Last year at SABR 52, we got that behind the scenes look in that ballpark. It was great. It's a shame. It's a really nice ballpark.
I wonder if that #1 rating is based on the fact that whoever puts Pacoda together thinks that Byron Buxton's going to play 150 games.
Well, that would not be good if they actually projected him to play that many games because
Right.
he hasn't done it.
Nope.
Well, it's not just him; it's also Royce Lewis.
Correa. Yeah, I
They
think
don't
Lewis
get
is already
they don't
hurt,
get much
right?
out of either one of them.
I think their pitching staff's pretty solid, though. I think
It
they
is.
have 2 or 3 good starters there and pretty good. I think their #1 bullpen, I think I saw in baseball possibly. So
Better than the Guardians, rather.
yeah.
Huh.
All right, our favorite NL East here. Braves are unanimous #1 here. Coda and with the chapter. Phillies 2nd, Mets 3rd, Nationals 4th, and Marlins 5th. Saying the Braves are going to win 92.5 and Phillies 89, Mets 85. Thoughts?
Don't really disagree with it. Atlanta had the probably more injuries than anybody else, and they're going to start the year off without Acuna, I guess. But as bad as it was for them last year, it still seems like they've got the best team.
I guess I'm a little surprised. I don't know. It kind of feels like it's almost now or never for the Phillies, and yeah, I kind of wonder. I mean, I think again I don't know how injured Ranger is at this point, but I mean their pitching staff is pretty formidable, all things, and their lineup. I mean, they're pretty solid. I don't agree with what is it? Sports Weekly, which I get, has, of all the teams in baseball, they list going into the season, they list Dodgers, of course, #1. They list the Phillies #2. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I expect them to have a big year, and be in the playoffs. And obviously, whatever happens, happens. But who knows?
I think the Braves have made some nice moves. I think Profar is a nice pickup for them. I think it's an underrated move. And I think it buys them a little bit of time until Acuna gets back. Strider's going to be back here at some point as well, and then they lost Charlie Morton, but they seem like they always have pitching. They always have guys that come up for some reason. Schrellenbacher last year, he's a guy who came up, and I think he's one of the top pitching, prospects in baseball right now. So they just find pitching. Philly's got a nice rotation. The Mets are lacking pitching. I think, if anything, the Mets got a formidable lineup. It's just that pitching staff.
Well, their opening day starter is going to be Holmes.
Yeah.
And, it's like that really tells you they don't have much in the staff.
I think Manaya's out.
Is Senga back yet?
Senga, yeah, I'm not sure. He's been injured a lot too. But and the Nationals and Marlins just seem to, I don't know. The Marlins especially, I don't know what they're doing. They just don't seem to have much going on down in Miami. The team does not look good at all. And they have Sandy Alcantara coming back this year as well. So I guess that's one plus for them. All right, the American League East. We projected the Orioles first, Yankees second. Pagoda projected the Yankees first, Orioles second. We projected the Red Sox third, Rays fourth, Blue Jays fifth. Pagoda had the Rays third, Blue Jays fourth, and surprisingly, Pagoda had the Red Sox in last at 78 wins.
Dixie, what you're thinking? What's going on up there in Boston with the Red Sox?
No one has any idea.
Really?
They have four guys who could play second base, but they still don't know who's actually going to play it. It seems like they have people, the regular fans here have some fantasy that Trevor Story and Alex Bregman are going to bring this team into the 90s, into the 90 win column. And if they played 150 games, that might be true. But neither one of them is going to play that much, probably. Somebody's going to get hurt, probably Story. And everybody on the Red Sox pitching roster has been in the hospital in the last 2 years. So it's a crapshoot. It is amazing how these people think that, oh, no one's going to get hurt this year at all. We're just going to cruise. And I can't see that happening. But that's what a lot of people believe. And as I keep telling them, pay no attention to anything that happens until Mother's Day. Enjoy the ride until then. And then after that, you'll see what's really going to happen. I have a chance to be on the radio here in Boston a couple times a year. And I was on a couple of weeks ago, and I said the key word for the entire baseball season, everybody, is attrition. You don't know who is going to get hurt and how long they're going to be hurt for. And that's going to determine almost everything.
Yeah, I always thought it was when the hot weather set in, that's where you really separate the men from the boys, about mid-season.
Well, last year the Red Sox were doing fine, and then the All-Star break was coming up, and I told everybody that I knew, I said, wait until the All-Star game, and then talk to me about what they're going to do. And they went right into the tank as soon as the All-Star game was played.
Well, the Phillies didn't go in the tank after the All-Star game, but they were a different team the second half than they were the first half. And thank goodness they had that big lead that they had built up in the first half. But it seemed like anytime they had a long time off, they were a different team when they came back.
Yeah, that London trip, I think, really did them in last year. They weren't the same team once they came back from London. How's Devers been taking it now? Is he at third or is he DHing? Has that been sorted?
He's DHing. It seems to be sorted. We don't know if there was pressure put on him or what happened really in the dugout. But he is now resigned to the fact that Bregman is a better third baseman and that he's going to DH probably most of the time. I don't know what psychological problems he may have with that as the season goes on, but right now they will start the season with Bregman at third. And I like Bregman. I always liked Bregman from when he was a rookie. And the people here putting all this pressure on him to be the one that's going to take them to the promised land, I just can't see that happening at this stage of his career.
The
It
Red
was,
Sox. Go ahead. Go ahead, Scott.
and Kristen Campbell's the only like one of those rookies that made the team. Roman Anthony didn't make the club, right? He went sent back down.
Yeah, well, there are about a half a dozen rookies to be that everybody's wild about. They have no track record whatsoever. So God only knows what they're really going to do. They may be great for a month, but the season is 5 months long. So again, you don't know what's going to happen with this team.
The Red Sox is fortunate, and they're one of the teams that has a faithful fan base. Have you seen any attendance slip up there at all?
No,
I didn't think so.
it's difficult to tell. I had season tickets for 30 years, and I dropped them in 2018. So I haven't been going to the park all that often since then. But you're right. I mean, everybody wants to go see the Red Sox play, even if it's only once or twice a year, because that's all people can afford. You have to remember that the basic ticket prices at Fenway are the highest in baseball. And then you pay for parking and all that other good stuff, and it goes even higher than that. So that's what Red Sox Nation deals with all the time. And they are expecting a better performance than 500.
Is that the most expensive ticket in baseball? Is that management on the front office capitalizing on the popularity of Fenway and nothing else? And they know no matter what they put on the field, they're still going to draw.
Well, they're pretty confident that that's the way it is because that's the way it's been. So they're going on what they know right now. I live 1 mile from Fenway. So I don't have to worry about parking or anything like that for all the years I had season tickets. But when you come here, it's a chore and it's going to cost you some money.
The only thing that I can add to that, and I think some of the guys know, my son lives about a mile from Wrigley, and I bought tickets, good excuse to go see him. We're going to see him in early April, we're going to see him in June, and we're going to see him in the beginning of August, all Saturday games. And modesty will prevent me from saying how much I paid for 3 tickets for 3 games. It's embarrassing how expensive it is. And but that's, I guess, unfortunately, it's the world we live in. And when you buy the tickets plus all the fees on the, Ticketmaster, I got them the day they became available. And it's just shocking how expensive it is compared to the old days. And, but I think I totally understand why somebody would give up season tickets because who can literally afford it at a certain point? It's gotten beyond the average fan.
Well, my problem was that I had 4 tickets behind the third base dugout. So they were not cheap. They started off at $18 in 1988, and by the time I dumped them, they were about 140 a piece.
Wow.
So you're talking $500 a game. And I ran out of people that wanted to go. Even once or twice a year, they didn't want to pay the money. So when I had 4 seats, most of the time I sold the 4 seats or at least 2 of them. And when you can't find people to go and you're losing $500 a game, that doesn't go over well.
And I was going to say, probably when you dumped them, there was probably somebody standing in line to scarf them up. But
That's right.
I don't
There
know.
was. But
Now, the
I used to stay. They have one thing at Fenway called the scalp free zone, which is outside in the outfield Lansdowne Street. And if you had tickets to sell, you could sell them there for the price that they were or under. And I spent many a night there trying to sell tickets, especially in May and April, on a cold day in the springtime, maybe a little drizzle coming down. It was not fun.
Are the Sox and the Cubs teams that charge a premium for their tickets depending on who they're playing?
Well, the Red Sox started to do that several years ago. It didn't start off that way. Uh, for 20 years or maybe longer, all the tickets were the same price, face value. But then they started to do the tier thing, where maybe about a half a dozen teams did cost more.
Yeah.
And the Cubs do that. You know, again, when I bought the tickets, I was just trying to look. I looked at the schedule, and the April game was cheaper than the June game and the August game, but they definitely do it. The one thing I'll say about Wrigley, we sat last year down the right field line, close to the field, but you know, one of those seats that's not that far from the pole, but you know, it's not a bad seat, but it's not a great seat by any means. I noticed for one of the Saturday games, you know, a single seat there before fees was about 140, 150 bucks a ticket, which is again nowhere near the dugout, nowhere near between home plate and first. It's just, it's kind of, again, to me, it's just insane at a certain point. But you know, they've got to pay the, you know, the 40 million, the 30 million, you know, whatever guys are making at this point, some guys. So it's just, it's hard because it has, again, you know, a season ticket, obviously for anybody is a huge commitment, but say you want to go to 13 or 15 games a year, that's still probably beyond most people's means, I would guess.
Well, the last year that I had the tickets, 2017, when I got the bill in December and you have to pay the bill then, the total bill was $44,000.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
No discount for your 30 years of loyal fandom, I
They
guess.
have no idea what that means.
Man, phew.
My 20-game Phillies package is looking pretty good right now.
Enjoy it. Savor it.
Philadelphia is not real close to us. You know, we're probably all within 100 miles of the chapter members are probably within 100 miles of Philadelphia. So the Phillies would be our local team. And I grew up in Philadelphia, and many a time taking the kids down there when they were little, and even just going there with my wife. The New York fans, whether it was they were playing the Mets or when it went interleague and they were playing the Yankees, the New York fans would come down there. And I guess for them, it's about a 90-mile trip. I don't know, down 95. And I don't know how close New York is to Boston, but do the New York fans come up to Boston like they come down to Philadelphia for, I mean, they wouldn't be intimidated to go into Fenway. I mean, they would just come in.
No, it's just under 200 miles. But no, there's no intimidation factor at all.
They just come up and they make a presence known when they come to the Fenway.
A little, yeah, a little.
Okay.
But the thing is that the Red Sox fans, there are so many of them that it's difficult for another group to come in and take over the spot
Yeah.
and be louder. It's tough.
But I can tell you that I went to a game, and this is a number of years ago, probably again when the early 2000s, when the Red Sox were Red Sox Nation was growing or whatever it was. But in Baltimore, when Baltimore was no good, I was shocked to go to a game and there were more Red Sox fans in Baltimore than there were Orioles fans.
Oh, yes, that's because of the price. I know several people when I had tickets, and you got to remember, I was 10 rows behind the dugout. Nobody that I knew was going to get better seats than that anywhere. So I had the seats. I was charging face value for the tickets, plus maybe $5. and they wouldn't buy my tickets. They would go to Baltimore to see the game because it was cheaper.
Karen's joined us, and Karen, you just missed our National League East predictions, and we know your team's in the National League East. And Dan, I believe it would be safe to say, is a Pirates fan.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about the projection of the Pirates? What are they going to do this year, Karen?
I don't know. I never know because I keep thinking, hopefully, the team won't get hurt. They always get hurt. They always have a problem with their elbow. They'll shoot. They just forgot. Paul. They spent. Somebody auctioned off his baseball card.
Yeah, 1.1 million.
Yeah.
Dick's Goods bought it.
Who was it?
It was Dick's Sporting Goods store.
Oh, is that who it was?
Yeah.
Where?
I guess in Pittsburgh, they're gonna put it on a display in one of their stores.
Oh, okay. I was shocked.
There you go.
I have this
Yay.
especially for Karen.
Hey,
Wow.
thank you. I was shocked when I saw that. Because I thought, that's a lot of money in this day and age.
Well, the kid who found the card, he was from California, wasn't he?
Yeah, Los Angeles area.
Yeah, so it understands why he didn't take the deal, but that was a hell of a deal if you lived in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'd say.
Well, his
Was that
college is
30?
paid for now, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
If they can just not get hurt. It's
Do you
always a
agree-
big thing.
Frank,
Do
how
you
do you
agree
feel
with them
about your
finishing last?
Yankees? Go ahead.
What?
Okay. I was asking Karen if you agree with them finishing last this year.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
I know Dakota has the Cardinals pretty close. So 79 wins against 77.6. So
Well, they were calling last night. They said that the catcher is one of the worst. And I thought that's not a really good way of saying anything about the team.
that's that Joey Bart, I think, Dan, you were mentioning, right?
Joey Bart's a good hitter, but I think what
Yeah.
Karen might be referring to is Walker, the number 1 draft choice from a few years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
He's terrible defensively, and
They said
he's
he's
somebody
one
that
of
they
the
were
worst.
really. What's that, Karen?
They said he was one of the worst.
Yes, absolutely. He just has no aptitude for that at all.
And
I mean, that's a shame because they were kind of, he was the number 1 overall pick. He was like Mickey Moniak, and neither one
Henry
of them was
Davis?
doing
Is that
anything.
Henry Davis? Is that his name?
Yeah, Henry Davis. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, number 1 pick.
I know, so I was really impressed. At least he's consistent. I mean, if you're going to be bad, make sure that you're worst. The worst of all.
There was an article I read that basically went through their finances. This guy took an impartial view, and he actually said they're losing money. He said they lost $2 million last year. So
Probably.
I don't know.
Well, they were trying to sell them.
Mm,
The fans were trying to sell them.
Yeah, there's billboards all over the city.
yeah.
I know, it's like, just go away. I thought, wow.
Well, Frank, I was going to ask you about your Yankees. I know you have some thoughts around that, and losing Garrett Cole is going to be a big,
Yeah, and
big hurdle.
Stanton's questionable. I don't know. I kind of see them as like the Phillies in a way. A lot of talent, but just don't come through. I mean, the World Series last year, Game 5, 5th inning. Let's just totally forget about that. But I mean, I don't know. They both seem to be a team with a a superstar that puts fans in the stands, sells merchandise, but just doesn't put them over the top.
And this year they don't have Soto to back them up.
Exactly.
And they're pitching, at least at the start of the year, the pitching is going to be an issue as well.
Yeah, I didn't pick them for first place when I sent my thing in.
I had them second for the division, but I've got them winning in the playoffs to get to the World Series again. I figure by that time they might be able to buy some pitching,
Well, let's look at the playoffs. So, max amount of points you can get is 5. So I broke it out in 4 tiers here. So the tier 1 teams, the Dodgers, Braves, and Phillies all had between 5 and 3.5 points in the chapter voting. Brewers, Cubs, and Reds had 2.5 to 2. The Mets, Diamondbacks, and Padres all had a point, and somebody selected the Giants to make the playoffs at the half point there. So I don't know if there's a whole lot of surprises there.
Not really.
No.
Mm-mm.
Maybe the Giants. I don't know. It's one of those teams I'm not really sure. I know they keep going out and trying to sign some big players. They just don't, they swing after Judge and didn't get him, and they're looking trying to get some of the Japanese players, and they haven't been able to get those guys. So I don't know.
I was on a Zoom that was Giants fans maybe 3 weeks ago, and they were pretty adamant about being excited about the season, even though a couple of guys they wanted, they didn't get. You're right about that. But the guys that they have now, they are excited about them and think that they are going to be better than they were last year.
Well, they got to be in that division. That's a tough division. So
Dixie, I don't know if you sent a thing in or not, but if you didn't, what do you think of the picks so far as divisions and the tiers we have here?
Well, everything seems normal. As a matter of fact, I just looked at my edition of Baseball Digest, and the National League Central is exactly what they picked. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the others are very close to it. I mean, what has been picked is very normal and respectable and adequate. As I said, though, attrition is going to tell me more about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
in our American League playoff teams, Orioles got the most points at 4, Guardians 3.5, and Rangers 3. Tigers, Astros, Yankees, followed by the Red Sox and Royals, and then tier 4, Twins, Athletics, and Mariners all got a half a point.
How did the Athletics get a half a point? And why did the Mariners only get a half a point?
Yeah.
Well, the Mariners were one of those teams that's got terrific pitching.
Yeah.
And their offense is they haven't gone out and added anything. I still haven't understand why they can't make a move on one of those pitchers to pick up some offense.
Well, for that radio show that I did a couple weeks ago, I had to do some scrambling to just find out different things to talk about. And the one thing I went to was Retro Sheet and all the lineups from last year. And the Seattle Mariners were the only team that had 4 pitchers pitch 30 games.
Oh, wow.
30 games. There were about 6 teams that had 3 guys start 30 games, but the Mariners were the only team that started 4 guys, and the 5th guy started more than 20. So their pitching roster was set pretty well for the whole season.
Oh.
What does that bode for this year, though? What's the
Nothing.
chances of them repeating that?
Well,
And
first
not great.
of
Just
all,
the fact that
Kirby's starting
they
the year
could
in
do
the
it,
IL.
and they did it.
Kirby is starting the year on the IL for them, though.
Yeah, you can only roll the dice for so long before something's going to happen. Something's going to give there. Division champions, National League, Braves got 2, Dodgers got 2, Phillies got 1. American League, Orioles and Yankees each got 2, and the Astros got 1. The Astros are a sneaky team, I think. I think they're quietly flying underneath the radar, but they obviously got a lot of talent there. They got some good young talent too.
Yeah, they were my pick to go to uh, to go to the series, but
Then the world champions, no surprise.
nah.
Actually, I'm surprised it's not 5, but 2 Dodgers, 1 Phillies, 1 Orioles, 1 Yankees. Little Northeast bias probably here with some of those picks.
Well, I being a Yankee fan, and of course going through the '70s and on, and everybody, oh well, the Yankees bought the championship. The wallet spoke, and they bought their talent. And I'm amazed now to see how everybody else has jumped on that bandwagon, and you see the results of it. I mean, who's got a bigger payroll than the Dodgers?
Nobody.
Nope.
Just kind of wonder if at some point the pressure will start to build on the Dodgers, because I do think the Padres and Diamondbacks are not bad. I mean, the Rockies are bad. Who knows about the Giants? But I mean, I think there's some other good teams, and I just think at a certain point, there's only one guy can pitch at a time, and what's the stat I heard? Blake Snell, 2 Cy Young awards and 1 complete game in his career. So I mean, with that bullpen, they don't necessarily need it, but I don't know. It's funny because the last few years, the Dodgers would get to the playoffs and they'd have like no pitchers left. So I just kind of wonder if like everybody's just, crowning them, and it may not be as easy as people think.
Well, but if Blake Snell goes out and starts 30 games and every game he pitches 7 innings, that'll be great.
How many times has Blake Snell started 30 games?
I do not know off the top of my head.
He's never won 20.
He
So,
also doesn't go 7 innings very often.
yeah.
Well, he's a slow starter, that's for sure. I'll be interested to see how he starts this year, having a full training camp. I think last year coming in late definitely hurt him.
I don't know if anybody else got up to watch the games from Japan, but the young kid,
Sasaki.
Sasaki, he was really interesting. A terrific fastball, but his other pitches he could just not throw over the plate. And you could see in that game, he only pitched 3. The Cubs were just by the 3rd inning just going to sit on the fastball, and they got him out of there pretty quick. He threw 1 good off-speed pitch to get out of the 3rd inning, but he's going to be an interesting case because if he can't throw the other pitches over the plate, major league hitters can hit the fastball. So,
The other thing that was pretty apparent with him in particular is that the Cubs, when they got on base, were running wild on him. That he was very slow to the plate.
yeah, I was just surprised though because I thought he could throw other stuff over the plate, and he wasn't. It was interesting. It was the first game. I don't remember who the home plate umpire was, but he had an incredibly interesting strike zone. It was it seemed to be moving at different times, and I think it was Imanaga, who was a pretty good control pitcher, walked 4 in 4 innings, and at least 2 of those were pretty questionable. So it was just interesting. I just think the Dodgers, it'll be I mean, they are formidable, but this whole thing of them winning 107 games or 110 games, I don't think it'll be that easy for them, is my guess.
In those games in Japan, I know in spring training they've been using the robo ump. Did they have that in Japan? Did they utilize it
No.
for those two games?
No.
I
No.
didn't think so.
What do people think of that? I think that's really interesting.
Love it.
I
I would
like
like
it.
to see it. I'd like to see it in there full time, but you know, I guess that's got to be negotiated with the players.
We have an independent team here in town, in the Atlantic League, and they've used the robo ump since pre-pandemic. And
How many challenges do they, like independent or minor leagues, how many challenges do they get a game?
that I don't know. But when they instituted it, it was seamless. I mean, if you didn't see the buds in the umpire's ears, you wouldn't have known.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think from what I've seen, because in the Cactus League, I think it was only maybe 3 of the parks had it. So when we were there, we didn't see it at all, but seeing it on TV is really interesting. It's quick and it's obviously it's pretty determinative, but I'm sure the umps don't like being shown up. That's for sure.
Yeah, the Atlantic League here, they've become what they call a partner league where they try a lot of these things out. A couple years ago, they moved to pitching rubber back. I don't know, it was 6 inches or a foot. I forget what it was. That didn't last too long, but they've been using the oversized bases for a couple years. There's a few things that the MLB tries out at this level to see if it'll fly, and some of the things they've adopted.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if Big League Baseball doesn't have it relatively soon. I think
It'll happen. If Manfred wants it, they'll have it.
I think next year it'll be in place. I'm surprised, like Terry Francona didn't want to use it at all this spring. Why not? I think you have to get ready. It's coming. And he just said, "Yeah, we're not using this. We're not." Okay.
I thought what was interesting, just slightly off the subject, but on replay in Japan when Otani hit the home run, what was the chances that that was going to get overturned? Because I mean, how often do you see a guy reach onto the field and that not be like Jeffrey Mayer or whatever that you knew that wasn't going to get overturned, even though it was pretty darn questionable.
Hmm. Well, Frank, that's all I got to share.
That's why, yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I don't think there was any, like we all said, there weren't too many surprises. I think it was pretty cut and dry as far as, who the top tier teams are. You know, but there's always a chance that, somebody will catch lightning in a bottle and make the season interesting.
I
Yes,
like
if
that.
a half a
I
dozen Red
like that.
Sox, if a half a dozen Red Sox players have a career year, they will win 90 games.
Yeah. Does
Okay.
anybody have anything else they want to talk about getting away from the playoffs, or the predictions? Anything else on anybody's mind?
No, but thank you.
Oh, well, we were glad you were here, Karen.
Yeah, I had to come and see this. You guys are funny. And
See it
even
more. See,
making my pirates look bad, but that's okay.
Hey, a couple of years ago, the Orioles were really bad. Look at them now. Things go in cycles.
I hope
RJ's
this.
taken a lot of hits from us, about the White Sox last year. But we might be eating crow in a couple of years with the White Sox.
We'll see.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay, well, have a good
Baseball Digest picked the Pirates for 4th.
There you go, Karen.
Who'd they beat? The Cardinals? Who's
Uh,
fifth?
Let me take a look. Maybe.
That's the only team I can see them passing at this point.
Oops, wrong way. There's White Sox. Yes. Oh. Yes, the Cardinals were last.
Okay. Maybe we got one mark.
Interesting. I saw that, oh, I was watching one of the financial shows today. I don't know the gentleman's name, but I think he's the owner of the Orioles. He was one. He was an interesting guy. I don't know his name or what company he's with, but he was. It was interesting to listen to him. But there's a team, you know, whether it's because of him, I don't know if he opened up his pocketbook or what the case may be. But I mean, like I said, the Orioles a couple years were they weren't worth what they have
Oh,
100, one or two
I really
years in a
think
row
that,
where they lost 100 games.
yeah, but they've drafted really well for a period of about 4 or 5 years, and now they're seeing the fruits of that. Pirates haven't done that. They spent a high draft choice on the catcher that we were talking about and have nothing to show for it.
Do you think? I know there's been there's been discussion over the last couple of years about um, the old time baseball men with their hunches and things like that versus analytics.
Right.
Do you think that's had an impact on the selections of these players, where with Baltimore's drafts that they go with more baseball instincts than analytics? Do you think?
Well, I'm a firm believer that it's both. I think you've got to have a little bit of both. I think you look at the guy that runs the Dodgers, Andrew Friedman, and he's staunchly analytic, but it helps when you have the access to the kind of talent that they've had, though.
And the kind of money too. So
Yeah, that's just it. But I read a book about him a few years ago, and back when he was with Tampa, and boy, you could see that he really had it all going on as far as evaluating talent.
Did anybody see the Scott? I watched that presentation by Bailey Hall.
Yeah, it's great.
Dixie, were you on that call with Bailey Hall?
I was on one of them, yes.
Uh, What an impressive young lady. And if anybody's missed it and you go back into the archives and you get a chance to watch this presentation that this young girl did, a high school senior,
Hmm.
Mm.
it was, it's quite impressive.
I think she might be doing it right now
Yes, she is.
for another chapter.
And I'm sure she's going to do it for other chapters too. But I mean,
I'm sure she
you,
will.
you talk about somebody that had her facts together, presented it well,
Yep.
and um, had a lot of poise for a high school senior
Yes.
in front of
Well,
in
that's
front of a
true.
group of gray-haired guys who could probably tell you what size shoe that Babe Ruth's wife's hairdresser's husband wore. She had her act together.
Who can't figure out how to put the mute on their Zoom thing.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
she'll probably be in some type of Ivy League college next year then.
But yeah, if you get a chance to watch her thing, I think her presentation was whether a leadoff walk was better or worse than a leadoff single,
Right.
and
Exactly.
uh, it, she really did the work.
Hmm. I'll look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect that night that I watched it. I certainly didn't expect a high school senior lady to present it, but I just watched it and I said, this is great, fabulous.
Well,
She-
I'd seen it. It was advertised through I guess it's Bruce's chapter up there in New England,
yeah,
and I knew it was a young lady, but I didn't realize it was a high school girl.
yes.
And phew, young lady's got a future.
She'd be an interesting person to sit and watch a game with. I think the way she dissects games, I would like to hear her thoughts as the game's going on. That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does that a lot.
And one of the things I think she said on the call was that, in her opinion, one of the worst things that they did in Major League Baseball was starting to put the analytics up on the scoreboard. The
Really?
like the exit velocities and things like that. Is that what she said, Dixie? It was
I think so, yes.
yeah,
Hmm.
but she's more into not so much she's into the statistics more so than the analytics. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think when the game is over, she takes what happened and puts them all together.
Yeah. Yeah. Break girl.
I'll have to look that up.
Well, I don't have anything else. Anything going up? Anything going up in Boston there? You want to share with us, Dixie?
We're just waiting.
Yeah.
I will tell you that by tradition, a very good tradition here in this house, it is hot dog night in America on Thursday.
There you go.
Opening night.
Okay.
Good hot dogs and warm buns from the oven, and sit and watch the ball game. The Red Sox start a little early because they're in Texas, but so the hot dogs will be cooked as their game is finishing, and they will be eaten as the Dodgers and the other games come on late at night.
And what's the beverage of choice?
Pardon?
What's the beverage of choice?
Mine's mine's milk. So
Okay. I thought you were going to say Sam Adams.
no, not me. There isn't a beer in this house.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, you will not, maybe not believe this, but I have never had a beer.
Really? Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't. And especially going to Fenway Park saves me a lot of money.
Well, I don't have anything else. Dixie, RJ, best of luck to your teams.
Yep.
Scott, Phillies. Tony, where are you at? Where,
You
Cubs?
mean fan-wise?
What your
or-
favorite team?
Cubs at this
Yeah.
point. I've adopted. I think, like I said to you guys, I've lived in so many different places. New York, San Diego, here, and my wife is big on the Phillies bandwagon, so I sort of humor her a little bit, and we watch a lot of Phillies games, and I think they're a good team to watch. But no, I love the old ballparks. I was fortunate. My daughter went to school in Boston, so I spent time at Fenway. My son being in Chicago, it's great being able to go to Wrigley. So I think the Cubs. I like the Cubs. I think they're a likable team. I just don't think they're. I think people are overvaluing them this year. I just think they are. And I do think the now or never for the Phillies. So Scott, I hope it, I want to know, are you that one vote for the Phillies in the playoffs?
I was
or-
not the one vote.
Yeah, because I filled out a sheet that I didn't send in, and I had, believe it or not, I had the Phillies and the Rangers beating the Yankees in the playoffs. So I had the Phillies going all the way, but I kind of feel like it's now or never, because if it doesn't happen this year, you can just kind of see it with the team. They're getting old in a couple of spots, and it's going to be interesting, but we'll
Yeah,
see. But hey, it's baseball, so hey, even if your team's not good, it's still going to be fun,
That's
for
right.
anybody.
If your daughter was up here after 1988, I could have provided you with great seats at a reasonable price.
Well, we would have had to negotiate, because I might have paid your price, but not the extra $5. That I would have had issue with. But no,
Free parking in my-
I think
free
anybody
parking in
who's
my
been to
driveway.
Fenway knows that. And I did the tour at Fenway. They have the code because of the fire code. They can't pull out these seats because they're so small. If you're a large person, you're going to have a problem. But I can't remember. I took my son to one game against Cleveland. I remember Trevor Bauer was pitching for Cleveland. And they were not the immediate box seats, but they were the seats back a little bit. And those were not inexpensive either. But, you can appreciate, I paid for an education at Boston College, so I can probably afford bleacher seats at this point. That's about it.
That word is not used here, inexpensive.
Mhm. I was gonna say, you may not have had a beer, but have you had, is it the place that's right outside Tasty Burger, I think is the place right
street.
outside Fenway.
Oh, I even got, I used to have a clam chowder, and
Mhm.
even that got too expensive after a while.
Well, years ago, this is now probably 5 or 6 years ago, when a hot dog and a water for my son at Yankee Stadium was about $19. That was just offensive. But I can tell you that even at the spring training games, the food is not cheap. Drinks are not cheap. And I always enjoy every team has to, it's like how disgusting a combination of things can they put in a helmet at this point? The taco followed by the whatever sauce or whatever. It's like we just wanted to get a couple of lemonades. We were behind this person. This helmet was, you could see the person was filling it. It was so heavy and pretty disgusting. And I'm sure that was not inexpensive. But I have a theory, since people don't pay cash anymore and they just throw their card out there, they truly don't appreciate how much they're spending at any given time. So.
The only thing that belongs on a helmet is ice cream.
I will say about
And
the
not
Cactus League, though, Dodgers do not charge for parking, which was interesting because everybody else seems to charge for parking. They do not charge for parking. But I can tell you
Interesting.
that their spring training tickets were almost twice as expensive as any other game we went to.
Wow.
I thought that was interesting how expensive they were, and it was interesting. And my wife noticed, again, as a Phillies fan, she said, "Wow, I thought there were a lot of Harper jerseys at a Phillies game. At $150 a piece for Ohtani jerseys, it was like every other person had one, and it was unbelievable. And obviously, the Hispanic influence, the Japanese influence. It was a very interesting atmosphere to be at a game. It was different. And the one thing, and I didn't notice it until she pointed it out. Ohtani got up the first time and he hit a home run. It was his first at bat in spring training. I would have had a great picture of it, but for the kid who got in my way right in front of me. But we had good seats, and so he hits the home run. The next two times he got up, I have never been at a baseball game that has been quieter. And somebody announcing the games from Japan said the same thing. It was literally, you're at a game and you just hear the sounds of the ballpark. When he gets up, the anticipation is so strong that you could literally hear a pin drop. And that to me was fascinating. And everybody, including myself, had their phone or iPad or whatever out. It was just a really interesting thing to see. It was almost like maybe a little bit when Bonds, was going through his, March to 700, and how much focus was on him at that point. But it is the expectations and the anticipation on this guy. I mean, he is amazing when you consider, how much pressure is on this guy game to game and how he appears to be able to deliver.
Well, I'm going to stop the recording. We don't have to end the call, but before I do, I just want to go on record by saying, Dan, for you and Karen's sake, I hope the Pirates do well. I enjoy the Pirates. I think they are a nice team that play in a very nice ballpark. That's one of my favorite ballparks, and I wish them well. And
Well,
I
they're
hope
going to need everybody's
McCutcheon
best
finishes up
wishes.
on a plus note.
Thank you.